Welcome again to the 2025 Ninth Circuit Judicial Conference. It has been 11 years since the conference was in Monterey, and we are delighted to be here again. As I stated this morning, there's only a 50-degree difference between here and Phoenix, Arizona. The peninsula offers something for everyone, from coastal panoramic views to the cultural charm of the waterfront district, Cannery Row, and the prestigious Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center. I'm just pleased to see you all here. Plan to be, I hope, inspired and challenged by this year's conference program, Floating on the Waves of Change. I look forward to the conference every year because it provides us not just with an opportunity to learn so much on every legal development that's happening, but an opportunity to reacquaint, to meet new colleagues, and to discuss the latest and greatest initiatives within the circuit. Now, I ask that you please stand for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Monterey and the surrounding region's indigenous people and tribal lands. We respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded lands of the indigenous peoples who have lived and cared for this region since time immemorial. This area is the indigenous homeland of the Ohlone, Rumsen, Esalen, Monterey Band, and Costanoan, among others, whose villages and communities have long been rooted in the Monterey region. We honor their ongoing connection to the land, waters, and sacred places of this area, and we commit to acknowledging this history with respect, humility, and the desire for justice and healing. Thank you. You may be seated. She's not here, Renee Lorda, but just the mere mention of her name. But we still want to extend our warmest congratulations to Renee on her retirement after a remarkable year at the Ninth Circuit. I know I speak for all of us when I say we appreciated her strong leadership, careful attention to detail, and keen anticipation of matters of importance. Her diligent service in the span of 27 years resulted in many successful Ninth Circuit events, and her elegant management style was a key component to the success of those events. And so I just really could be remiss if I didn't say something about Renee, even though I think she's somewhere in Europe right now. She may prefer to be there than here. This conference would not be possible without the hard work of so many dedicated individuals. So I wanted to make sure and acknowledge in our official opening session, many thanks to the Conference Executive Committee led by Conference Chair Roger Townsend, lawyer representative from the Western District of Washington. Roger has been on the committee like 7 years now, I think. It's a long time, and he's culminating his service as chair of the conference, and just felt so very grateful for his diligence and leadership in this endeavor. I also want to extend my thanks to Arizona District Court Judge Michael Liberti, who is the program chair this year. And to all members of the Conference Planning Committee, and in particular, I need to thank the new Assistant Circuit Executive, Robin Cole, who has stepped into very big shoes. And her staff for the time over the past year to put together this excellent program for all of us to enjoy. And I also want to thank Sue Song for her leadership and her team in the Circuit Executive's Office for their outstanding support of Robin Cole and the Conference Executive Committee in planning this conference. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Circuit Conference Executive Roger Townsend to welcome and make some introductions.
Good afternoon. Great to see everybody here. Floating on the waves of change. Here we are, and that was only our slogan because we didn't hear yet, life is hard, wear a helmet. Maybe that's next year. I am, you may be surprised to see an attorney up here. I don't know if Kelly Sager is here. It was the last attorney to serve in this capacity. There she is. Kelly and I are a part of a small club, and I want to have attorneys to fill this position. And I want to thank the various chairs that I've worked with over the years, Judge Owens, Judge Simons, I see, Judge Wansley. It really has been an experience of, it's the friends you make along the way, right? And I've really made a lot of great friends throughout the circuit here, and it's been a real honor. Thank you for coming. This circuit conference is very different than other circuits, commensurate with the size of the Ninth Circuit. We have a robust and long program. I encourage you, there are a few things of housekeeping that I want you to keep in mind, one of which is the questions. We have a very analog approach to questions. This isn't all intended to be very interactive. We really want to hear from people. We prepare questions, we prepare content, but really it's the interaction between the people. So please make questions, and as you've seen, provide questions, they do get answered. We also do a survey at the end of the conference, which we take very seriously in terms of what we get out of that and how we respond with the programming. So a couple of points of housekeeping. It's my privilege now to introduce some programming for the presentation of the colors, which will be followed by the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. We are honored to have the Joint Service Color Guard from Monterey's Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center present for the colors. We will also have Vincent Ellison from the Northern District of California and the recusals here to sing the national anthem. And for those of you who were lucky enough to be here last time, I'm going to get, the music is playing here at the Oscars shortly, but I want to introduce Srinidhi Poonham and Neha Santosh, who were the first place winners from the Civics Prize, and they will lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. And now I will ask you to rise for the presentation of the colors.
Colors, ho! Present, colors!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight night. O'er the ramparts we watch, we're so gallantly streaming as the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard. Our time. Hut. I turn. Hut. Iron. Hut.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you to the Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center Joint Color Guard. This color guard embodies the unified spirit of military service and honors and traditions of the U.S. Armed Services. This formation is comprised of active duty service members, including both staff and students representing the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The Institute is regarded as one of the finest schools for foreign language instruction in the nation. This center provides foreign language education in support for the Department of Defense. Students comprise of active reserve military, foreign military students, civilian personnel working in federal government and various law enforcement agencies. Also, thank you very much to Vincent Ellison for that stunning rendition of the national anthem. And thank you also to Sriniti Poonham and Neha Santosh for the Pledge of Allegiance. And congratulations for the prize. And I also would like to share the Chief's acknowledgement for the Conference Executive Committee, who have been working very hard for the last year to put this programming together. And if you're a member of the Conference Executive Committee, could you go ahead and stand up and be acknowledged? And I'll extend a personal thanks to District Judge Michael Liberti, who I've worked closely over the last year, and also to my now lifetime friend, Madeline Wansley, who we worked closely with together last year. We have several special guests here in the audience and with us this week. There are a lot of meetings that go on that you may or may not be aware of, and I would like to introduce you to some of our special guests. Of course, we have the Honorable Elena Kagan, Associate Justice from the United States Supreme Court. The program ends with a keynote of Justice Kagan, who always offers a scintillating fireside chat. We also have the Honorable Robert Conrad, Jr., Director of Administrative Office from the U.S. Courts. And I hope you are all here to hear from the Honorable Janet Napolitano, who served as Governor of Arizona, Secretary of the Department of HHS, and President of the University of California in her remarkable career. Also present is John S. Cook, the Director of the Federal Judicial Center. And we have the Honorable Karen Schreier, District Judge from the District of South Dakota, President of the Federal Judges Association, and member of the National Judicial Security Independence Task Force, and member of the Committee on Budget of the U.S. Judicial Conference. And finally, I want to call out all of our Pacific Islander representation, which we have wonderful representation from, who we really need to do a better job of presenting the amazing experience of the Pacific Islanders and their relationship to the circuit. We have here today Chief Justice Daniel Kadra from the Supreme Court of the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Chief Justice Carl B. Ingram, High Court of the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Chief Justice Oldiais Niraikilu, Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau, Chief Justice Robert R. Torres from the Supreme Court of Guam, Associate Justice Peter D. Huffman, the Trial Division of the Supreme Court from the Republic of Palau, Associate Justice John A. Manglonia from the Supreme Court of the Northern Mariana Islands, and Associate Justice Larry Wentworth from the Supreme Court of the Federated States of Micronesia. And could I have a collective round of applause for all of our terrific guests? And now I'd like to invite the Chief Judge to return to the stage to remark on the state of the circuit, an introduction of the new judicial officers and awards, as well as a special recognition of 100 years of probation and pretrial services.
Consistent with this year's theme, floating on the waves of change, we in the Ninth Circuit are navigating many forces that are reshaping the administration of justice in the West. These changes span a wide spectrum, from cybersecurity risks to new challenges in courthouse security and personal security of judges and staff. Let me begin with 3 areas that we've seen positive developments. One, on workplace culture. The Federal Judicial Center released its first national workplace survey of judiciary employees in March of 2025, and the results are quite encouraging. 80% or more of the response, and there was an overwhelming response, more than 50% of the workforce of the judiciary would recommend their workplace and reported satisfaction with their jobs. But the one that I really want to highlight is 93% take pride in serving their court or office. And I wanted to make sure and highlight that for you because I think it's easy to do our work day to day and not often pause to think about the people who are supporting us and how critical they are, but also to know that they take pride in what they do in serving the judges and the courts. And with the continued support from our workplace committee and the Office of Workplace Relations, I mean, we're not a perfect workplace. I think as the judiciary, we should be an ideal workplace. There's still areas of improvement, and we will keep building on these successes and address the areas that still need improvement. As to cybersecurity, I want to acknowledge the fact that the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts is exploring viable alternatives to its case management system. You heard a little bit about this if you were present this morning for the Q&A with Judge Conrad, the Director of the Administrative Office. And I wanted to note that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals Management System, ACMS, is being considered as a national model for modernization. And it's a testament to former Chief Judge Sid Thomas, present here today, and Clerk of the Court Molly Dwyer, and Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals IT Director Ryan Means. Their hard work has produced a system that is not only improving our circuit operations, but could strengthen the entire federal judiciary. And I want to thank them for that. And I'm pleased to announce that this fall, after nearly 20 years with our original website, we planned to launch a newly designed website, public website, for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to hopefully better serve all of you. Our goal is to make the website centered on user needs and to have our live streamed and archived videos and decisions easily accessible, as well as rules and other information pertinent to filing appeals and participating on committees. We are developing our new site with the input and assistance of many members of the bar, many of you who are here. And when the new website is launched in the fall, we will continue to provide opportunities for feedback because our priority, my priority, is to ensure that the new website meets the needs of our users. So please feel free to comment when that comes out. I want to spend the balance of my time in discussing the state of the circuit on what I believe is the most serious and urgent matter that we have faced, certainly this year and perhaps in a long time, and that's the growing threats to judicial independence and the rule of law. In December of last year, Gallup reported that just 35% of U.S. adults say they have confidence in the judicial branch of the federal government. It's the steepest decline since Gallup began polling on the question over 50 years ago. And yet, there remains a core resilience. A March 2025 survey by the Annenberg Public Policy Center found that while trust has eroded, a strong majority of Americans still support the courts and Congress as essential checks on presidential power. Confidence is fragile, yet the public still instinctively recognizes the court's constitutional role. This information further underscores the importance of our rulings, of legal predictability, continuity, and coherence made through a publicly visible process that is based faithfully on the law. The court's legitimacy rests on the enduring perception that judges act in good faith, applying the law impartially and dutifully. As federal judges, we confront extraordinarily complex and consequential legal questions every day. We work hard to issue thoughtful, reasoned opinions consistent with the law and precedent. Of course, there are times when one of the parties may disagree with the court's decision, and our judicial system gives them recourse. They can appeal from a district court to the Court of Appeals, or they can seek review of a decision from our court to the Supreme Court. Sometimes individuals who are not involved in a particular matter disagree with the result too, especially if the court is setting precedent or ruling on a hot-button issue. These individuals also have recourse in our country, where they are free to express their disagreement. This is all part of a healthy democracy. Disagreement is expected, parties may appeal, and the public may debate. But what we see today is different. Disagreement is too often expressed not through lawful channels or reasoned discourse, but through personal attacks on judges, accusations of bias, calls for impeachment. We've seen a recent influx of ethical complaints about judges nationally, as well as a number of articles of impeachment introduced, related to rulings concerning actions taken by the new administration. You may have seen a wanted poster, which Director Conrad referred to this morning, featuring images of federal judges who have issued orders blocking the current administration's actions. These attacks are concerning and unfortunate, to say the least. More alarming are the threats of violence. The numbers are sobering. Today, there are at least 66 judges nationwide who require enhanced security simply for presiding over high-profile cases. And in this year alone, the U.S. Marshals have investigated over 550 threats against 297 federal judges, with some having multiple threats. These threats are often chillingly personal, targeting judges' families, invading their privacy, even sending harassing deliveries to their homes. We've reached a dangerous inflection point. This past May, after public calls for impeachment of several district judges, Chief Justice John Roberts reminded the nation that for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. And at the First Circuit Judicial Conference, retired Associate Justice Anthony Kennedy warned that escalating hostility towards judges, coupled with the corrosive tone of public discourse, is undermining democracy itself and damaging America's ability to serve as a beacon of democratic governance. I echo these sentiments. When prominent voices, regardless of party or administration, express contempt for judges personally, call for their impeachment, encourage the disregard of court orders, or applaud threats of violence, the damage is profound. The court's power, as you all know, comes directly from the people's trust in its integrity. Undermining that trust is not merely an attack on individual judges, it is an attack on the rule of law itself. We must also acknowledge the human toll. These threats weigh heavily on judges, on their families, and on all who serve alongside them. Yet, even in the face of these challenges, we must stand firm. Through our conduct and our decisions, we must show that the judiciary remains an independent, co-equal branch of government, devoted solely to the law. And we must remind the public that the freedom to disagree is best protected by focusing on legal reasoning, not the individuals entrusted to apply the law. I also believe that we all have a duty to promote public confidence in our courts through civic education and community outreach. As I speak about the importance of civic education, and we saw a wonderful program on civic education today, which I can't help but think that the impact is enormous. We need to speak out on those events and other community outreach events to help increase the public's understanding and appreciation of the role and operations of the courts for our Constitution and our system of checks and balances. I submit it's our call to duty. Given the importance of these issues, we have added a special panel discussion to the program on Thursday morning featuring constitutional law experts, UC Berkeley School of Law Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, and former U.S. Solicitor General and Supreme Court Advocate Paul Clement, moderated by Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers. I strongly encourage you to join us for this discussion as we work together to find answers and reaffirm the judiciary's essential place in our constitutional system. That's my state of the circuit. Next, I want to turn to the many new members of the judiciary since last year's judicial conference in Sacramento. Welcome. We have a special slideshow with their photographs, so you can also welcome them in person when you see them. I ask you to please hold your applause until the end, but if you could please stand when your slide comes up, I'd appreciate it. First slide, District Judge Amy Baggio of the District of Oregon. Okay, all right. District Judge Benjamin J. Cheeks of the Southern District of California. District Judge Dina M. Coggins of the Eastern District of California. Next slide. District Judge Michelle Williams Court of the Central District of California. District Judge Sherrod H. Desai of the District of Arizona. Go Arizona. District Ann Wong of the Central District of California. Next slide, District Judge Mustafa Kasubahi of the District of Oregon. District Judge Serena Murillo of the Central District of California. District Judge Shanlon A.S. Park of the District of Hawaii. All right. District Judge Rebecca L. Pennell of the Eastern District of Washington. District Judge Cynthia Valenzuela of the Central District of California. And District Judge Noel Wise of the Northern District of California. Bankruptcy Judge Barrett Merrim of the Southern District of California. When you're the only new judge, you get a whole slide to yourself, okay? Magistrate Judge Michael B. Kaufman of the Central District of California. Magistrate Judge James E. Marner of the District of Arizona. Magistrate Judge Sean Reardon of the Eastern District of California. Please join me, please stand, these new judges, please stand, and please join me in welcoming our new judges with applause. Next, I'm pleased to move forward to the award portion of the program. We'll begin with the American Inns of Court Ninth Circuit Professionalism Award. The American Inns of Court Professional Award is awarded each year to a lawyer or judge whose life and practice displays sterling character and unquestioned integrity, and who exemplifies ongoing dedication to the highest standards of the legal profession and the rule of law. And this is such a special recognition in our circuit. And I'm so delighted that it gives us an opportunity to recognize a lawyer or judicial officer's superb professionalism, ethics, civility, and overall legal excellence. Our circuit is fortunate to have so many who are well suited to receive this award. And it's my pleasure at this time to invite my colleague, Ninth Circuit Judge Consuelo Callahan, a former recipient of the Ninth Circuit Professionalism Award from the American Inns of Court in 2014, who now has the special distinction of serving as president of the National American Inns of Court, and even has her own chapter, the Judge Consuelo M. Callahan Inn of Court, named after her, which was founded in 2006. Judge Callahan, if you could come to the podium, and please, it would be our privilege for you to present this award to our recipient.
Well, I want to say first off, I'm not on the awards committee, so I didn't pick this person, but it's a special honor to be able to present this award to someone that I've known for almost 35 years, the Honorable Patricia Bamatra Manoukian. Justice Manoukian was educated her bachelor's degree from USC, her master's degree from USC in public administration, her JD from Loyola, and a PhD from public administration from USC. She is a longtime member of the William A. Ingram Inn, past president and an executive committee member. I've known Justice Manoukian almost all of her career, and there are too many accomplishments to mention all of them. She's had an extraordinary career, and I have always looked up to her. As many of you know, I was a state judge before I was a federal judge, and Patty, as I call her, but Justice Manoukian, she was slightly ahead of me, and she was always teaching, and she was one of my first teachers and mentors. So it's just a real honor, Patty, to be able to give you this award. And besides, as the president of the American Inns of Court, we also have Judge Barbara Lynn from Texas. She was the immediate past president. So you have two presidents of the Inn. And we just could not be happier that we're able to present you with this award. Justice Manoukian, her awards packet was amazing. Her many contributions extend well beyond the bench. She has served numerous capacities to improve the legal system, demonstrating her ongoing dedication to the profession. A former member of the Judicial Council of California, the policy-making body for our state court system, she has continued to generously share her legal expertise across numerous council committees and task force, playing a leadership role in advancing the statewide administration of justice. In her packet, she's supported by our present Chief Justice of California, the past Chief Justice of California, federal judges as well. And I think before I knew Judge Manoukian, she and her husband, Socrates Pete Manoukian, he's also a judge, are the proud parents of 3 boys, Matthew, Michael, who's here today, and Marty. And of interest is I actually knew Pete before I knew Patty. We were in 4th grade together. However, we were not really very impressed with each other, but there's proof that we were in 4th grade together, and Patty is what brought us subsequently together. Justice Manoukian is an outstanding jurist whose intelligence, compassion, and dedication to ethics, civility, and professionalism make her a role model not only for our Inn members, but also for the legal community as a whole. I think quoting one of the letters was from Justice Corrigan from the California Supreme Court. I think is really encapsulates the person that Justice Manoukian is. She is a gifted teacher and jurist, but more importantly, she is a person who leads by example. Whether in a law school class, educational program, or over coffee in a mentoring chat, she believes deeply in the highest traditions of the Inns of Court: integrity, civility, professionalism, and service. She has lived those values throughout her professional life and inspired a great many others in the Inn and more broadly to do the same. I can honestly say that I have never known a finer lawyer, judge, or person than Patty Manoukian. When I was asked to write in support of her nomination, I replied, in my view, Justice Manoukian should be given every honor possible, including entry into the NFL, Hall of Fame, and election to the papacy. Those last two possibilities, she acknowledged, may prove somewhat elusive. But anyone that knows Justice Manoukian knows that as fine a lawyer, judge, mentor, all of the above she is one of the nicest people that you will ever meet. At her table, she brings with her people that she mentored that are now judges. There are so many people out there that really owe their careers and are dedicated to Justice Manoukian. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the Manoukians are a Gold Star family, that their son, Captain Matthew Manoukian, was killed in Afghanistan August 10th of 2012. As a decorated Marine, he was also awarded the Navy Cross posthumously himself as he took on fire so that his comrades could be saved and were able to escape. The Manoukians are a family of service, and I think that they have obviously made the greatest service to their country through their son, Captain Matthew Manoukian. And I keep on my desk a picture of Matthew to remind me of the sacrifices that he's made for the rule of law and for the things that we value so much in the courts. And I think that what's important is the family continues to serve despite the loss. And I know that they do that in honor of Matthew, but that's who they are, and that's who the family is. So I could not be prouder to present this award to Justice Manoukian. You have so many people that we all love you so much, 4 decades serving the California judiciary and this country. Please come forward so that I can present you with this award.
Chief Judge Murguia, Associate Justice Kagan, Judge Callahan, distinguished judges, justices, friends, and family. I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the American Inns of Court, to Chief Judge Murguia, to Judge Carl Stewart, the chair of the awards committee, to Judge Callahan, even though she wasn't on the awards committee, to Cindy Dennis, and to all of those who supported my nomination. I am extremely honored, humbled, and grateful for the nomination, and I'm completely overwhelmed. I would not be standing here before you today without the help and support of so many mentors of mine, so many judges, so many colleagues, and my family. So I accept the award with gratitude and with thanks to all of those who helped me throughout my judicial career. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your kindness and your consideration. Judge Callahan, thank you for your service as the president of the American Inns of Court. You are known to be a brilliant and dedicated jurist, an amazing role model and mentor, and one of our greatest judicial leaders. It's a privilege to have you as a cherished friend for 35 years and as part of my life. I will always appreciate your support and kindness, especially when our son was killed in Afghanistan, a very challenging time for our family, and you were so good to all of us. Thank you. I want to move on to thank those who nominated me at the William A. Ingram Inn of Court. I was completely surprised and very honored to learn of the nomination. I retired on April 30th of 2025. I like to maintain a very low profile, and I thought I would slip quietly into retirement until I received the packet and the call from Judge Stewart and the call from Chief Judge Murguia. I am very grateful to the members of the William A. Ingram Court for nominating me and for their letters of support. Our inn was founded in 1985. It was the 12th American Inn of Court. It was named after an amazing jurist, United States Federal District Court Judge William A. Ingram. Some of you may have known him. A brilliant judge, but more important, a kind and compassionate man, a great leader in our community, and one of the original founders. I'd like to introduce to you those who are here today with me from our inn, and my supporters and those who wrote letters for me. Our president, Judge Helen Williams, Judge Saida Cogliotti, my former research attorney and presiding judge of Santa Cruz County, Judge Lucy Coe, we go back so many years, our presiding judge from the 6th District Court of Appeal, her wonderful husband, Judge Ed Davila, and I have my wonderful husband, Judge Pete Manukian. I believe they may have played football against each other in high school. Oh, Nate Maher, okay. My son, Michael, and then joining us, we have Judge Coe's son, Mateo. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your wonderful support and your nomination letters. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. I want to talk just a few minutes about our inn. Our inn has an atmosphere of warmth, friendliness, and always welcoming. Our inn is very supportive and is filled with dedication, kindness, and service. We have 3 law schools in our jurisdiction: Stanford, Santa Clara Law School, and Lincoln Law School. We have many, many dedicated attorneys and judges who serve as mentors, and we have wonderful law professors who are part of our inn. Several years ago, we started a service component of our inn, and I wanted to share with you some of the wonderful things our service committee is working on. Our inn members participate in projects with Second Harvest sorting food. They participate in making no-sew fleece blankets for Suncrest Hospice. They participate in sponsoring families from the Bill Wilson Center. They also participate in donating bedding for the Family Supportive Housing Shelter. The Service and Outreach Group is taking steps to compile a bank of speakers comprised of inn members and their colleagues to serve as speakers at schools on the legal profession, to instill faith and confidence in the legal profession, and to educate about the work of the courts. We also sponsor an annual essay contest open to all law students, focusing on an issue of civility. This year, the essay was, the law students were asked to write on the following topic: how do a lawyer's civility, professionalism, and ethical choices impact public trust in the legal system? We received a number of contributions, and we give a monetary award to our students, and we've received some wonderful work from our law students. I'm very proud to be a member of our inn, very proud of the work that we do, very proud of the outreach that we all are doing from our inn to instill confidence in the public concerning the work of the courts. I'm also very blessed to have been a member of the Court of Appeal in San Jose, the 6th Appellate District, for over 35 years. Justice Greenwood is our amazing administrative presiding judge who supports all of the justice, supports a mentoring program at our court, which is chaired by Justice Charles Wilson, who is dedicated to educating law students and providing them with opportunities. Justice Greenwood is also building us a new court at the 6th District and is one of the most outstanding administrators and best people I've ever worked with. She administers our court with strength and a kind and compassionate heart. Thank you, Justice Greenwood. Justice Greenwood also allowed me time to clean out my chambers when I retired. It took me much longer than I thought. I had 35 years. I've served as a judge for over 41 years, and I had 35 years in the same chambers at the Court of Appeal. I thought that I could part with all my teaching materials, all my program materials, all my speeches that in the old days we hand wrote. We didn't do any typing or use a computer. I thought I could part with all of my letters and notes from my externs and the many students I've worked with. The teaching materials, because the law has changed, that was easy. I could shred or get rid of that. The notes from my law students, from the students who served in my chambers, the students I mentored through the inn, the students that went on to be brilliant lawyers and judges, I could not part with those. Those went with me home. I'll look at them again. I was touched by all of them, but the ones that really I read several times are the ones from those students who struggled, who did not pass the bar the first time or the second time. Those students who dropped out of law school because they were having problems or they lost a family member. I kept those letters and read them because those students kept working. They came back, they worked hard, and I was honored to swear them in as members of the bar. And so it's those students that, all of them I love dearly, but those students I really was proud of because for so many of our young law students these days, it's really hard. It's hard academically, it's hard financially, it's hard personally, and it's so important that we support all of our young lawyers and our law students. One of my great mentors was my first presiding judge at the Court of Appeal, Justice Nat Agliano, who's from Monterey County. He handed me Theodore Roosevelt's The Man in the Arena quote, which has become one of my favorite. And that, of course, reminded me of all our law students and young lawyers who struggled. And even though they failed often, they came back and they were in the arena working for success. So thank you, Mary, for our mentoring program at the court, for our support of all of our students, and for the help that we're giving to the future of the legal profession. Finally, I want to thank my family because I would not be here today. I could not have participated in all the classes I taught, all the programs that I put on, all the statewide committees I served on, all the competitions I judged without having a strong family standing beside me and pushing me forward. I'd like to begin by thanking the governor who gave me 41 and a half years of a phenomenal, amazing, and dearly loved profession, Governor George Deukmejian, who gave me the opportunity to serve as a judicial officer, a kind and brilliant public servant. I want to acknowledge all the lawyers and judges who mentored me as a young DA, as a young judge, my supervisor who called me into his office and said, I'm going to teach you how to try a robbery. Here are the elements. Here's what you do. My mentors in the DA's office who came and watched my presentation at trial, critiqued me and helped me. All the judges that took my hand and helped me learn and lead so that I could take my hand and reach back to help others in the legal profession and in the judicial profession. I am grateful to them. And finally, I would not be here without my family. My husband, Socrates, Peter Manukian, is a judge in Santa Clara County. He served for 32 and a half years. He's mentored and supervised over 350 law students. And when these law students take the bar and they cannot find a job, they go back to my husband and work for him. He's generally been in a civil assignment so they can build their resume, and he connects them with lawyers in the community and keeps connecting them until he helps them find a job. So he is a super mentor and has always had a place for any student that I couldn't fit into the Court of Appeal schedule. He's a dedicated jurist, an outstanding husband. We've been married over 48 years, went together for 6 years before that. So he's and a great father. And without him raising our 3 boys and being involved in the activities that I was involved in, I really couldn't have done it without him. So thank you, Pete, for all that you've done, really, for me. And finally, our 3 boys have served to inspire me on a daily basis. My parents, Frida and Bill, and Pete's parents, Elise and Manasseh, helped me raise our family. From them, we learned to work hard, study hard, help everybody out, and be kind to everybody. Try to be good to everybody and extend that helping hand. Our 3 sons live their lives in service to others. Our youngest son, Marty, is a Navy doctor. He could not be here today. He just had a second little boy, Anthony Michael, and has our 2 grandsons, Leon and Anthony. He did his medical studies and his residency in emergency medicine at UC Davis during COVID. He spent many days not only in the emergency room, but in ambulances with COVID patients who were waiting for beds in the hospital. He then served in Japan for 2 years, and he served in Guam and Palau, so he was very excited to be in those beautiful places. He returned, and he's in Oceanside now, serving as an emergency room doctor at the hospital, and also in an emergency response team, training members of the military and training our allied forces. His wife is also in service as a director at the Nature Conservancy. She is working to save our country and the world and has worked all over the globe. Our second son, Michael, is here with me today. He's a partner at Lathrop GPM and is specialized in employment law. In his service time, he serves as the president of the St. Thomas More Society. He's on the William A. Ingram Inn of Court Executive Board, and next year he'll become the president of the National Raider Foundation Board. The Raider Foundation helps injured raiders, helps raiders return to civilian life, and supports Gold Star families who have lost their children in service of their country. It's very good that Michael specialized in employment law because so many of our military members who've often served for many years have difficulty transitioning into civilian life, and Michael's done great pro bono work in that area. So Marty inspires us, and Michael inspires us every day. And finally, our oldest son, Captain Matthew Manukian, who served as a United States Special Forces Raider, served 4 terms, 2 in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. He was killed in 2012, and usually when they play the national anthem and we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, I start to cry. But today I said I can't do that until after I thank you all for this wonderful honor. He loved the children and the people in Iraq and Afghanistan. He and his team built schools, opened businesses. He personally requested female interpreters. He supported the people of the region, and they trained Iraqi and Afghan police officers. He believed strongly, and I really want to share this with you, that our military during those terrible years brought hope, support, and peace to those countries, that they did make a huge difference, and that they were doing very good work in terms of building peace and providing freedom in those countries. His heroic and selfless actions at the time of his death were cited in his Navy Cross award, which said, "His heroic and selfless actions enabled his Marines to survive. Captain Manoukian upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service." He had applied to law school. He had been accepted. His plan was to get out after his 4th tour and go to law school. He didn't make it, but the rest of our family, we live every day remembering Matthew, inspired by Matthew, and trying to be of service, trying to live a life of purpose like he did, and trying to serve a cause greater than ourselves. His favorite quote was, "You can easily judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him." So today, I thank all of you. I thank my inn. I thank my mentors. I thank my family for this great honor. This is a very important, beautiful, and significant award that inspires me to continue to serve and inspires me to continue to mentor young lawyers and young law students. I thank you very much for this. I am most grateful. Thank you.
Congratulations, Justice Manoukian, and thank you for that lovely speech. Very moving and reflective of why you were the recipient of this award. The next award is the John D. Frank Award. And while Melinda Haig and Scott Bales, if you could come forward, I'll just give a little bit of background on the John P. Frank Award. It's our circuit's Lawyers Lawyer Award. It was created by our Attorney Advisory Board more than 20 years ago to honor members of the legal profession in the West who are not only great lawyers, but who have also provided notable service to the courts of our circuit. The award is appropriately named for a legend of the Arizona bar, John P. Frank, who began professional life as an Ivy League law professor, migrated to Arizona because of asthma, and for 50 years represented clients who could not find representation elsewhere, clients like Ernesto Miranda. John Frank believed the courts were the guardians of the Constitution and the Constitution's protection of our civil rights and civil liberties. When our courts were attacked, he defended them. When judges needed advice, he provided it. And when Congress was threatening to take us backward, he tried to set them straight. He was a great teacher who also built a great law firm and seemed to have an uncanny capacity to serve several places at once. Now, that may remind you just a little bit of the person who will receive the John Frank Award today. So I yield the microphone to my Advisory Board Chair, Melinda Haig, and to present the John Frank Award along with Scott Bales to John Sands.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Melinda Haig, as Judge Murguia just said, and I have the honor of serving as the chair of the Ninth Circuit Advisory Board. And of course, with me is former Arizona Supreme Court Chief Justice Scott Bales, and together we are incredibly honored to present on behalf of the entire Ninth Circuit Advisory Board the 2025 John P. Frank Award to Arizona Federal Public Defender John Sands. The John P. Frank Award is presented annually, as Judge Murguia said, at the Ninth Circuit Conference by the Advisory Board for outstanding service to the federal courts of the Ninth Circuit. The award recognizes a lawyer practicing in the Ninth Circuit who has demonstrated outstanding character and integrity, dedication to the rule of law, proficiency as a trial and appellate lawyer, promoting collegiality in the bench and bar, and a lifetime of service to the federal courts of the Ninth Circuit. It became incredibly clear during our selection process that John has demonstrated throughout his professional lifetime all of the qualities we look for in connection with the John Frank Award. He has clearly touched the lives of many people in this room and countless others in the District of Arizona and beyond. We received many nominations on John's behalf, and all of them contained long, heartfelt descriptions of his character, integrity, and humanity, his talents as a lawyer, advocate, mentor, and teacher, and his dedicated service to the courts. So I'll now turn the microphone over to former Chief Justice Bales to share more detail with you about why John was selected for this award.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm particularly pleased to do so. I practiced with John Frank at the end of his career, and I've known John Sands since we began practicing law in Arizona some 40 years ago. Like John Frank, John Sands has spent his career in the Ninth Circuit working to advance the rule of law and the ideal of justice for all. For 20 years, John Sands has been the federal public defender for the District of Arizona. When he was reappointed by the circuit for his 6th term last year, Circuit Judge Kim Wardlaw, who chairs the Defenders Committee, said that John is a generous mentor. He is a national leader on criminal justice issues, and he is an advocate of the highest caliber, whose office consistently provides its clients with outstanding criminal defense services. Those views are shared by the more than 36 other judges who joined Judge Wardlaw in supporting John's nomination for this award. John, while leading his office, has continued to carry his own caseload, ranging from handling cases arising from Arizona's many tribal lands to defending Guantanamo detainees. The Federal Public Defender's Office in Arizona, one of the largest, has become a national model and a resource for the other FPD offices across the circuit. John is viewed by his peers as the go-to guy for advice on difficult questions of substantive law or office administration. Indeed, every other federal public defender in the Ninth Circuit endorsed John's nomination, as did 5 former appointed U.S. attorneys. John, like John Frank, has been a mentor and teacher for generations of lawyers. For some 30 years, John has taught at the National Criminal Defense College and also as an adjunct professor at the law school at Arizona State University. With John's encouragement, his mentees have gone on to become themselves distinguished advocates, law professors, and state and federal judges. Indeed, 3 of them have themselves been appointed as federal public defenders for their districts, including Heather Williams, who leads the Federal Public Defender's Office in the Eastern District of California. Somehow, John has also managed to publish scores of articles in publications like The Federal Lawyer and The Champion on issues ranging from forensic entomology to legal issues in the Mikado. All who know John love and admire him for his incomparable combination of brilliance, wry wit, gentle humor, and engaging humility. John, former Chief Judge Mary Schroeder, who was a mentee of John P. Frank and a mentor of you as one of her law clerks some 40 years ago, observed that she could think of no one more worthy of this award. The Lawyer Advisory Committee agreed, and we're pleased to present you with this year's John P. Frank Award, and we invite you to join us at the stage.
I'm not used to getting the last word. I do want to thank you all for the John P. Frank Award. I'm grateful to the committee, the Ninth Circuit, my district, my nominators, and for my clients who may not have a say in this. It is humbling and meaningful. I hope it reflects an acceptance of responsibility, and I hope the U.S. attorneys will move for the third point. The Frank Award has special meaning because John Frank was committed to individual rights throughout his career, practiced in Arizona, and wore bow ties. He helped to establish the Miranda rights, as you've heard, and secured the right to counsel. He also mentored many lawyers, including former Chief Judge Schroeder, who in turn brought me to Arizona and has been my mentor. This award affirms the importance of the Sixth Amendment right to counsel. This right is exemplified by the Criminal Justice Act. It is personified every day and with every client by federal and community defenders and CJA counsel in pursuit of fairness within the legal system. I've had many mentors. They have been brilliant, they have been kind, and they have assisted me. I especially want to note Larry Hammond, who passed in 2020. I want to thank Fred Kay, my predecessor, who took a chance on hiring me as an assistant federal public defender, someone who was green and had a stammer. I want to thank my colleagues in the office and the circuit who inspire me. I'd like to thank my long-suffering wife, Joyce Grossman, who's heard many closing arguments. Prosecutors, think twice about striking her. You may be surprised. We recognize our representation is done in the criminal justice system, with prosecutors and with the court, all seeking justice. This award shows the Ninth's support for strong and zealous defense and the needed resources for it, even in these trying times. Justice should not be deferred or frozen. The award further shows that with criminal practice, which is the highest stakes, there is still a role for civility and for being courteous. You can be zealous and you can fight courageously. You can also be nice. As public defenders, we are often asked, how can you defend those people? Those people, we know, could be us. With a change of fortune or circumstance, they are poor, victims of abuse, racism, and trauma, and falling prey to vices and addiction. We listen to them, we give them the time, we give them our arguments to the court in trying to do what we feel is fair and just. It's a situation in which it can be difficult, but we remember they are not defined by the worst thing that they have ever done, even though it's in the indictment. They have an opportunity to be better. We have the role to speak for them and to ensure that justice is done. They are even innocent. How we defend requires skill, dedication, and the combination of trial, appellate, and habeas knowledge and savvy. It is all-encompassing. The how must be done with professionalism and without rancor. In closing, the you of how can you defend those people requires each of us, in whatever role we have, in calling a commitment to the rule of law, as well as empathy, compassion, and kindness to the clients, adversaries, and staff. Our work may be a few years or a career, but it is life-changing. To save a life, the Talmud instructs, is to save a world. We take that on. How can we defend those people? How can we not? Thank you again for the recognition.
Thank you. John, congratulations. Beautiful remarks and a good reminder for all of us of the remarkable service of federal defenders, and you have served so wonderfully and with distinction, so congratulations. And being from Arizona, I'm very proud. As you are aware, this year marks the centennial of the United States Probation and Pretrial Services. On behalf of all the judges in the Ninth Circuit, it is my honor and privilege to acknowledge the dedication and positive difference that the U.S. Probation and Pretrial Services officers and staff contribute to the federal judiciary and their ongoing commitment to public service for the past 100 years. There are over 7,000 probation and pretrial staff across our country and approximately 1,400 in our circuit responsible for pretrial services, pre-sentence investigations, and post-conviction supervision that supports the reentry of individuals released into the community. Their work is vital to protecting communities and facilitating the fair administration of justice for individuals who become involved with the courts. To further commemorate this special anniversary, I'd like to invite our Chief Probation Officer for the Northern District of California to come and present our final presentation, Chris Karuba-Katz.
Thank you so much, Chief Judge Murguia, for this awesome opportunity to commemorate our system at the federal level. But it also happens to land in the same week in which our profession is being commemorated nationwide at every level, whether it's probation, parole, or pretrial services at the state, county level. So thank you for this opportunity. I have the distinct honor to introduce the Chief of the Probation and Pretrial Services Office at the AO, John Fitzgerald. He will share some more details. So thank you and welcome, please, John Fitzgerald.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation, the opportunity to be here. I'm going to cover 100 years of history in about 5 minutes, so hang on, we're in for a ride. Okay. So if we're going to start talking about U.S. history here, we got to talk about John Augustus. A guy was a shoemaker in Boston, and in his spare time, he would go and observe court. And he began to have relationship with the attorneys and the judges, and he offered to take custody of defendants and help them in order to avoid sentences of imprisonment. And John Augustus's methods were so successful that states like Massachusetts and then all across the country began adopting them and formalizing them into law. But there was no federal companion at the time. So what did judges do? They adopted a practice called laying a case on the file, in which they would simply suspend the imposition of the sentence while the person was behaving properly in the community. And for years, it was very non-controversial. Then in 1914, the Attorney General at the time issued a mandate to all U.S. attorneys to say, you must object to any indefinite suspension of the sentence. The next year, a judge in Northern District of Ohio, Judge John Killitz, decided to suspend the sentence of an embezzler who had already paid back his employer, and the employer did not want to punish their employee any further. Over the objections of the government, Judge Killitz suspended the sentence, and the government appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court. And in an opinion at the time, the Supreme Court sided with the government, but offered some advice. For those people who were already convicted, pardons. And for everybody else who was in the pipeline, Congress should enact probation legislation. It took another 9 years for Congress to get its act together, but it finally enacted probation legislation, and it was signed by President Coolidge on his inauguration day on March 4th, 1925. A little fact, Cal was from Massachusetts, and he knew the importance of probation. When we were first created, we were part of the Department of Justice. And 1930, we were moved under the newly formed Bureau of Prisons. And at the same time, we took on our first new set of responsibilities, supervising parolees. In 1940, with the advocacy of judges, we were moved from the Department of Justice into the federal judiciary. We continued to accrue new responsibilities. We started taking on juvenile delinquents. After World War II, we started taking on military parolees. And then in the 70s, we took on pretrial services, first as an experiment, and then finally as an enacted function. In '84, Sentencing Reform Act, the whole role of the probation officer changed significantly, and we became, quote, the guardians of the guidelines. Our system has grown significantly over the years, both through policy, legislation, and other trends. Right now, your workforce, as Judge Murguia said, about 5,700 probation officers, pretrial services officers out there, and a good number of them are here in this circuit. I want to give you a glimpse of who they are. These are well-trained and well-educated professionals. They have to have at least a bachelor's degree, but I will tell you that 50% of our workforce has at least one master's or higher. When they join the career, they go through an academy between 4 to 6 weeks where they learn everything about policy and procedure and practice, safety. We have ongoing continuous education. We're one of the few components within the judiciary to have this as policy. 40 years on correctional practice, plus on top of that, safety and firearms training. So the workforce that you have are not only well-educated and well-trained, they're also of high integrity. We have background investigations, drug testing, medical examinations. So the folks that you're working with are of the top-notch caliber. Little snapshot of where we are in terms of work and workload. We do we supervise about 120,000 individuals on post-conviction supervision, another 20-something thousand on pretrial. We do 70,000 bail reports and almost 60,000 pre-sentence reports every year. So there's a lot of work that comes from the probation offices to you as judges. As Director Conrad mentioned this morning, in terms of where we are today, the budget's bad. And that puts pressure on these talented officers to make sure that they understand how to best perform the job. Earlier this year, we had the opportunity to host a conference in DC, and we had the participation of all 3 branches of government. We had members of Congress, we had a recorded video from Associate Justice Jackson, we had judges from the Sentencing Commission, from the Criminal Law Committee, Judge Conrad, and it was a real testament to how important the probation and pretrial services system is to the judiciary. We use that opportunity to also plan ahead. There are a lot of challenges that we're facing, everything from AI to changes in caseload to the budget. And our commitment is to deliver justice to the people that we supervise, promote the fair administration of justice for you as judges, and to protect our communities. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak a little bit about our centennial, and have a good rest of your conference.
Thank you, everyone. We're over time, so I'm going to wrap it up. But tomorrow morning, we start at 9:30 with the law of catastrophe and a program on AI and copyright. Thank you, everyone, for the day, and we'll see you first thing tomorrow morning.